So for the most valuable components for this week's topics, it kind of came as a two-parter for me. There was the aspect of being a value creator and then being a storyteller. And so I think that when it comes to those two, I thought they were very important because some of the most important lessons that I've learned have come through other people's stories. And so a lot of these things that we learned this week were about how to be more vulnerable, how to be more authentic, and how to specifically tailor your stories to your audience so that way you can better or portray what you're trying to lead them to. And I think that's really important, especially as you're trying to be a value creator, because you don't want to just be telling stories just to tell stories. You want them to have a moral or a lesson to learn from them. And in my work area, I have a lot of older, or I guess more experienced employees that they're able to help me learn lessons because they can tell me, well, there's this one time I was working with a specific contractor or a client, and this is how it went. And I learned how to talk to them just because we were able to have those communication skills and learn what was best um, coming from both sides of us. And so I think being able to understand the effectiveness of telling stories and being able to communicate them back to new employees or less veteran employees like me, it helps us all learn a little bit more.
So when I was going over the areas that were surprising or new, and kind of in the context of storytelling, one of the things that stood out to me the most was that only 28% of executives and middle managers who are actually the ones responsible for executing the strategy could list their strategic priorities. And so from that, kind of what I took away is, as you're coming up with the story for the business and the mission and the vision, everything needs to relate. It needs to be memorable. And, it's the stories that we create that help tie everything together. I also was a big fan of the value creation for business success that, business success kind of occurs in the intersection of when you provide value to owners, employees, and customers. I think that's an easy one to forget. Everybody always thinks it's about the shareholders or it's about the customer, but really you have to focus on all of those areas and have really a purpose and a vision that fits and caters to those three groups. Then when we come to where we live by those principles currently, I personally feel like I do a okay job. That's it's really easy to forget kind of the purpose, especially when you're wrapped up in the day to day. There's always a fire or something going on. But, when you can step back and remember really the purpose and the why, I feel like you end up having a lot more success and it's a lot easier to have the batteries full going forward.
All right, and then so why are these topics important? There are three kind of key reasons I want to hit on here. So the first one is time is a scarce resource and should be spent ensuring value is created. I think it's important as a strategic leader to, if there's someone who likes to be in the weeds of things, they have to have that ability to pull up and kind of see the full picture and spend their time wisely. Um, Competitive advantage and differentiation. If you're a strategic leader and you're telling good stories to get people to buy into your, your differentiation strategy or your strategic business unit's purpose in achieving that strategy, a strategic storyteller or strategic leader as a storyteller can really make that happen because it enhances their communication and gets buy-in. And then I think the last thing, why is it important to be, a good storyteller as a leader, is with your stakeholders, it increases the level of confidence that they have in you, especially if you can demonstrate consistent performance and results and communicate that in a way that's meaningful. I think they're going to have a lot more buy-in.
Awesome. And building off of that, what will you do with what you've learned? At least for me personally, I'm going to commit to learning how to be a better storyteller and practice that a lot. It's something that I feel like I'm not very good at. I feel like I've kind of had this idea that, well, I should just present facts and only facts that, really look good and try to make the point that I'm trying to make. Um, and frankly, that's pretty boring. And so I liked the lecture and the articles that kind of hit on this idea of telling an authentic story And there's that one article that talked about being realistic, allowing for like kind of a natural antagonist. People are much more interested and engaged with those types of stories. And as I'm able to do that, I know that I'll be able to kind of communicate the strategic vision, the strategic missions more efficiently, and get more buy-in from everybody involved. They'll have a much broader view of the picture than just the facts and just the things that make it look good. And so that's what I'm committing to.
2 to 3 areas that we feel would be valuable for the class to discuss in the webinar. We have 2. The first is it would be valuable for discussing and going a little bit deeper on creating value outside of simply discussing financials. For example, at my current company, we don't do PowerPoint presentations. Amazon, we're known for like 6-page max white papers. I'd love to have a discussion on creating value specifically in settings like that. We talk about like or PowerPoints, and the white papers like have very critical, detailed information, like objective financial information, and like point towards a conclusion. So I think it'd be nice to like dive in there where the white papers are designed to have kind of a clear objective set of information. So how do you better tell a story with that information? The next space that we could dive into more would be to discuss the importance of bringing in your mission and vision daily. We'd like to see where organizations fall from this and why they don't live and breathe it every day, day to day.